show, and you're watching Simply Sinful Dining. This is my very first cooking show. I like to cook, I like to bake, and I have friends that love to shoot things, so here I am. My love of cooking came from watching my mom and my grandmother and my aunts cook in either my grandmother's kitchen, which I'm using as my set, or at my great-grandmother's house in Riverside, where my great-grandparents built the house from the ground up. There are pictures in our family photo albums of my mom and my aunts as little girls with my grandfather in the background blasting giant boulders with dynamite. It's really cool. My great-grandmother especially sparked my love of cooking and how I think food should taste, and that, you know, sharing food with your family and your loved ones, you know, is a way of showing how much you care. We would go up there during the summer for 1 or 2 weeks at a time, and she would cook all of this really good food. You know, just fried chicken and greens and pound cakes and sweet potato pies and just everything wonderful. And the greens came from her garden in the back, and the bell peppers come from her garden in the back, and the green beans came from her garden in the back, and we would go out to the garden and pick the greens or pick the green beans and then wash them and then snap them and then cook them that same day. There is nothing like fresh picked green beans from the garden cooked the same day. I have never been able to match that taste because I don't have a garden yet. I will though. Start with a stick of unsalted butter, softened. We're going to start by whipping the butter, the softened butter. It's nice and fluffy. Not fluffy, actually creamy. Fluffy comes later. So it kind of looks like mayonnaise, you know. Just nice and smooth and creamy. We want it really smooth and creamy. And to that creamy butter, we're going to add 2 cups of granulated white sugar. And then we're going to beat it till it's fluffy. And once again, I don't know how long you do it. I just do it till it's fluffy. I make sure that I get all into the bottom so that all the sugar is incorporated into the butter. And then there we go. Nice and fluffy. See that? So to this, I will add 2 eggs at room temperature. It's always better to work with room temperature things when you're baking, because then everything gets incorporated a lot easier and, you know, makes all the molecules happy. When I started cooking, I was really young. Me and my brother cooked to help my mom out when she was at work. It's a single parent household. So me and my brother started cooking when we were like 9, 10. And by the time we were 11 or 12, we were serving dinner for my mom when she got home from work. And when I started cooking for my children, I wanted to mimic the tastes and the feelings that I got when I ate at my grandmother's house or my great-grandmother's house, or even eating with my mom and my brother, you know, just together. And I started baking. Especially, I love baking more. I can cook, but I love baking. I love the idea of being able to take something and create it and make it sweet and make it so good that the voices in the person's head stop, or, you know, just for a minute everything is okay. Stop and scrape down the sides just to make sure that everything is evenly mixed. We don't want like pieces of, you know, unmixed butter or sugar in the cupcakes. Make sure that everything is mixed together well. Nothing stuck to the sides. One of my most touching memories, one of the memories that stick with me, is when I started baking and I was trying pound cakes to make them taste like my great-grandmother's pound cakes, that I tried every different recipe, sour cream and cream cheese and butter and milk and just everything. And I finally got a recipe down and took some over to my aunt's house, and she told me that when she bit into it, it reminded her of biting into my great-grandmother's pound cake when we were all younger and went out there. And that was what I was going for. It made me cry. I was in tears because I was so happy, and also it was so touching because my great-grandmother by then had passed, and to be able to remind a family member of something that we thought we couldn't have anymore was just amazing. I have to sift 2.5 cups of cake flour, and I started sifting a little earlier. Let's finish that up. And after we've got it sifted, we're going to take cup measurement, and to properly measure flour, you scoop it into the measuring cup that you want to use like this. Make sure it's a little overflowing. And then you can just take the back of a knife, any knife. This happens to be my chef knife, that's fine. Make sure that it's evenly spread through, and then just knock the top off. That's 1 full cup sifted cake flour. And I'm going to add that here. And do it all over again for the second cup. It's all in there, full cup. I've got 2.5 cups of sifted cake flour here, and to that I'm going to add a 4th cup of cocoa. Fourth cup of cocoa. And for the cocoa, I just dig in. There's no special way to measure cocoa. And you know, it's not really bad if you have a little bit, make it a little bit more chocolatey than it's supposed to be. I love chocolate. Some people don't. I definitely take offense to people that don't like chocolate. But just gonna whisk the cocoa and the flour together so that it's nice and mixed. You won't have chunks of flour and chunks of cocoa. Make sure everything is mixed evenly. A full ounce of red food coloring. All this in there. And now that we've done all these things and all these different parts, I can take the egg, butter, sugar mixture, and to that add the buttermilk, red food coloring, and vanilla extract. Pure vanilla extract, please, not imitation. Imitation's nasty. I'm gonna stop and scrape that down a little bit. All of that batter in there, even a little bit that wasn't red before, so it'll all get mixed together nicely. I'm going to take a tablespoon of vinegar and a teaspoon of baking powder and mix it in a bowl. So I've got a teaspoon here of the baking powder. And just regular white vinegar, that's what I use. A tablespoon of vinegar here. And we all know what happens when you mix vinegar and baking soda. It's like a science project in my kitchen. So after that does this little fizzy thing, we're going to add that to the red velvet cake batter. This gives it a little bit of the tang in addition to the buttermilk, and it gives it a lift, and we're not going to use the beater. So I'm going to put that over there, beater for now. I'm going to fold it in, just so that it's incorporated into the batter. The vinegar also brightens the red color, if you do believe that. So these red velvet cakes are getting redder as I'm folding this in. Little bitty ice cream scoop. And we'll take this. This one's a little small, so you might take a couple of scoops just to get it about 2/3 of the way full. Once again, I'm eyeballing. There's no measurement here. So the cupcakes are going to be baked at 350 degrees Fahrenheit between 20 and 25 minutes. You might want to check it at 20 minutes so that it doesn't get over baked, dry, or burnt.